Now welcome to the stage, Yasmin Green, CEO of Jigsaw.
Okay, I'm going to start with a show of hands. For anyone who has on their phone right now a large group chat that is really active and that has totally lost you. Like, there are just so many people, they're responding right now to what, you don't know, you go in there, you try to figure it out. Why is it so hard to make sense of large conversations? Because when lots of people want to talk, it's really hard to listen. That's a big problem because conversation is the soul of democracy. What gives democracy its legitimacy is the ability for us to have a free and open exchange of ideas. But in order for us to have this thriving democracy, we need to also understand what is the soul of conversation. And this is a question that we have been thinking a lot about at Jigsaw, where I work, for some time. One of our tools is called Perspective API. It's the world's most popular free tool to manage online conversations. It's used 2 billion times a day by Wikipedia and Reddit and Wall Street Journal and the New York Times to find toxicity and other attributes of online posts and to manage online conversations. But more recently, in the last year, we have turned our attention to a new type of conversation, not those types of publishers and platforms, but conversations between policymakers and their constituents. And we've had the opportunity to partner with policymakers and the people of an incredible town in Kentucky called Bowling Green that's going through a massive transformation. So it's doubling in size over the next 2 decades, which sounds really good in terms of growth and development and jobs, but there's a mixed bag of emotions about it. So farmers are concerned about land use, lifelong residents are concerned about culture, there are concerns about migration. In Bowling Green, Kentucky, it's not so much about foreigners as people from Nashville, Tennessee coming and changing their identity. But like valid concerns, and a guy who really understands kind of the enormity of what's going to happen is the judge executive of Warren County, the county where Bowling Green sits. Judge executive is kind of like a synonym for mayor. And he said to his people, he addressed them and he said, do we want this growth to happen to us, or do we want it to happen for us? If we want it to happen for us, we're going to need to come together and have a conversation about what we want Bowling Green to be. He also told me when we went to go and speak to him that there are lots of mechanisms right now across America for the public to have input into governance and civic issues. I asked him how many people use that opportunity, like how many people go to a public town hall. Actually, I'm going to count. Okay, the same number of people as there are in the front row here, 8. 8 people attend a public town hall. So how is he going to have a conversation with everyone about their future when the kind of analog mechanisms that are available to him aren't up to the task? And so we thought at Jigsaw, with our experience with technology, maybe we could help. So we went to Kentucky and we wanted to understand, why is it that people aren't showing up today? The reasons that we heard when we spoke to the people of Bowling Green, they resonated with me so much. And I want you just to think about yourselves in a meeting, meetings that you're in large conversations, and just raise your hands if you ever think to yourself, I do not know what we are discussing here. I do not understand what my role is, and if I use my voice, would it have any impact on the outcome of this meeting or this conversation? Raise your hands. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. Recurring themes among the people of Bowling Green. We spoke to the elderly, we spoke to students, we spoke to people who are far away from politics, feel marginalized from politics. We spoke to 2 sisters, Afghan sisters, recent migrants, resettled in Bowling Green. The idea of even attending a public forum, never mind being asked to speak, was a complete anathema to them. We spoke to a young college student who we said, come with us to a city planning meeting. And he's like, I can't do that, I'm not a lawyer. And we're like, he said, I don't have the expertise to contribute. Of course, there were no lawyers. He did contribute. But the point is, when you don't think your voice matters, you will not use it. And so we wanted to join forces with the people of Bowling Green to design a process with the help of AI that would help people's voices count towards this conversation. it's kind of it's a really ambitious and scary proposition to try to design a digital town hall that invites everyone in. The initiative that we launched was called What Could BGB? This is the website. It was a month-long conversation to invite everyone in the town to answer the question that local leaders had, which is, what do you want for the future of Bowling Green? And it was, we used a platform called Polis to solicit input, but it was really, you answer in your words, open-ended prompts, on your terms. It's private, it's anonymous, it's asynchronous. And we did this really kind of concerted recruitment effort where we translated to all the 9 major languages of migrant populations there. We flyered international supermarkets. We recruited at mega churches and basketball games and worked at the local public library. But it was really scary to think that we might do all this and still no one might show up. And just remember, the baseline is 8 people. Okay, so we're going to do a finger poll to see how many people you think came to our month-long conversation. So this is 100, 200, 300, 400. Okay, how many people do you think came to the, show me your fingers, the month-long conversation that we had in Bowling Green? Well, okay, a lot of consensus. Maybe that's because I didn't use my other hand. A lot of consensus, around 5, 7 here. Thank you for participating. Also, you're right that there were many, many, many more people. 1,000 times more people. So 1 in every 10 residents of Bowling Green showed up to be part of this conversation. I guess people really do want to be part of shaping their future. Thousands of proposals, policy proposals, 1 million opinions shared. If we placed every proposal one after the other, it would be the length of not 1, but 2 football fields. I'm actually going to show you a little video from Bowling Green for you to see a little bit about what this conversation looked like. But could we play the video?
$143,000 people today in Warren County, Kentucky. 233,000 by 2050. This type of growth it's a lot of pressure. What are we going to think about in our community? What kind of ideas are we going to have that in 2050 that really come to fruition?
The question of what could BGB, above all else, was meant to collect specific ideas from the public.
Well, and what we found is that was highly effective. When you end up with thousands upon thousands of ideas submitted, when you end up with more than 1 million votes cast in response to the ideas, the scale of that data is massive. How can they make it easier to look at the results
And start to make sense of what the public had to say.
What Could BGB was the most thorough, comprehensive community engagement campaign that I have ever seen. The opinions, the votes, the comments that we have, and now we have some really amazing data that we can see some of those action items, how we can look forward to the future and make Bowling Green even a better place to be.
One of the things in local government that we struggle with is getting public input. This process has given us hope that we can do that again.
I mean, it's exciting to know that there are things that we can dive right into now. Some things we're already doing and doing very well, some of them we're working on.
The part that I loved about the report is that it's sorted them based on subjects. So I immediately clicked education, and then you had subtopics within education, and equity and technology, something I'm interested in.
It's really cool to have that kind of data about the community we live in. We've heard from people we may have never heard about if it was a public setting they had to come and give their opinion at.
I think there's so much excitement out of the technology that brought us the answers today that we are ready to move today.
To have that level of public input distilled down to this type of report, I see this as the way that the future for getting public input.
The greatness of our community has always been what I like to call oneness, and oneness is all of us working together to have the type of community we all want to live in.
All right, amazing. It was amazing. It really felt incredible to be part of what they were trying to do in Bowling Green. So they definitely came out. You might be wondering what was it they spoke about? So they spoke about things that farming, agriculture. They spoke about preserving their values, infrastructure for a growing place. There were a few more kind of long tail proposals. There was a proposal from someone who suggested that a law be passed to mandate fast food restaurants to include a ketchup sachet in every takeaway from the drive-thru, which didn't get many votes. But that's how you know that people are using their voice, and everyone's voice was shared back in the report, which is really important. I mean, I'd say that actually I want to share some of the. So one of the I think one of the big apprehensions after is anyone going to show up is this going to be a digital, is this going to be an in-person town hall at scale? Because in-person town halls, the people who show up are typically detractors. They're the people who are motivated to go all the way there and wait for their turn to speak are the people who don't want the thing to happen at all. So local leaders were is that what's going to happen here? We're going to hear a lot of people who don't want this city to make changes. And so imagine the sigh of relief when of the 4,000 proposals, more than half of them had near universal support, and there was a bunch of other agreement beyond that. So not just actually government leaders, but business leaders too felt that they had a really solid basis on which to lead, because they know that they have the public support. We surveyed people afterwards to get their sense of how the process made them feel. They felt their voice mattered, that they understood people across divides, and that they felt that participating actually was going to lead to a better future for themselves. So we really, we used AI in this case to help Doug Gorman keep his promise to the people of Bowling Green, Kentucky. I think there's another slide. Which is, he said, if you speak, I will hear your voice, which he could not have made that guarantee to people without having an incredible technology capacity to hear everybody, but also to understand what they say. And that's the beauty of AI, to understand, to summarize, to sort, and then to feed it back. The three learnings for us from Bowling Green. One was there is more that unites us than divides us, which in these trying times is really important for us to remember what brings us together. Two is that this was our first partnership with this town in Kentucky, and it was the largest digital town hall in all of US history. So we can only imagine what's possible, in your county, in your state, where we take this next. And three, the people of Bowling Green actually, they asked a pretty simple and profound question, which is, what can we be? What can democracy be? Well, democracy is most powerful when it's a verb, not a noun. And that means not just talking, but listening, and not just hearing, but also being heard and committing to a shared future. And we are at a shared future conference about shared futures. So nothing's more fitting. But I'll leave you with one closing question, which is not what could democracy be, but what are we willing to make it? And I think that's a question that we will all be able to answer if we work together. Thank you.